This. This is a beautifully crafted and measured lie.
They get you from really early on.
And this right here is how they want the whole world to view us.
Watch this. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Stereotypes world.
Today, I'm gonna cast light on the second richest country in the world, the most emerging financial market. We're gonna talk about China.
Today, I'm going to talk about the Great Britain. The Great Britain is an island in the North Atlantic Ocean of the northwest coast of continental Europe. It is the largest of the British Isles, the largest European island, and the ninth largest island in the world. Great Britain had a population of about 66 million people, making it the world's third most populous island. The island is dominated by a maritime climate with narrow temperature differences between seasons. Politically, Great Britain and Northern Ireland together constitute the United Kingdom. The term Great Britain is often used to include the whole of England, Scotland and Wales, including their component adjoining islands. English is the main language spoken by approximately 98% of the population in the UK, with numerous dialects. Accents can vary tremendously from south to north, even occasionally confusing Brits themselves. The British currency is the pound sterling, known as the pound or Great British Pound.
Switzerland, officially the Swiss Confederation, is a state situated in a confluence of Western, Central and Southern Europe. It's a federal republic composed of 26 cantons, with federal authorities stated in Bern. Switzerland is a landlocked country, bordered by Italy to the south, France to the west, Germany to the north, and Australia and Liechtenstein to the east. Their population is about 8.5 million. What attracts me the most is their flag. We know very well that all countries have a rectangular flag, except the Swiss with a square one.
Hello everyone! So today I'm gonna talk about a nice country. You guessed it, yes, it's Canada. So Canada is a country in the northern part of North America. Its territory occupies a whopping 3,855 million square miles, which is the second largest country in the world after Russia. For comparison, Canada is bigger than the whole European Union and 50 times larger than France, the biggest European country. Ottawa, the capital of Canada, isn't the largest city in the country. With a population of about 1 million people, it comes second to Toronto. Almost 3 million people live in that city.
British people are always apologetic. Sorry is probably the most overused word in Great Britain. A recent survey of more than 1,000 Brits found that the average person says sorry around 8 times per day, and that 1 in 8 people apologize up to 20 times a day, even if it's not their fault. For example, if you bump into a British person, the British one who will apologize first, even if it's not his fault. British people are the biggest tea drinkers in the world. In fact, the traditional tea time belongs to British history. Where is getting the tea in is one of the most frequently asked questions in all British offices. Whether they take the tea with milk, sugar, lemon or just plain, British people drink more than 60 billion cups of tea a year, ranking them among the biggest tea consuming nations on the planet. But they are not top of the world's drinking charts. This title belongs to Turkey. Brits are obsessed with the royal family. Many of British people are proud of their royal queen. Others don't really care, but they all seem to agree about how much elegant their Princess Kate is. British food is often perceived to be terrible. British cuisine might be ridiculed by other countries around the world. They say that the traditional dishes of fish and chips, or burgers and mash, don't really stand out as some of the best in the way of culinary sophistication. But British people deny this by saying that nothing beats a Saturday night British kebab. They also say that if they don't save up a good gram, who did invent the afternoon tea and the sandwich? British people are well known for the use of sarcasm and irony. Some of the best comedy shows, such as Mr. Bean, are British. In Britain, sometimes you can't even be able to tell when your British friends are being sarcastic for when they are trying to have a serious conversation. It takes some serious skill, and even after years of living in the UK, it's likely that you will still often get it wrong.
Chinese people are only good at math and science. I'm almost 100% sure that every movie, TV show ever made has had a nerd played by an Asian kid. Everyone just knows Chinese kids are good at math and science. I'm aware that we are also taught that Chinese education does not allow for free thoughts and creative thinking. I can tell you that it's not that black and white. So many students love art, theater, and music. So please, don't assume that just because they are Chinese, they are all forced to be alike. They are individuals. Chinese people look exactly the same. When we look at someone of Asian ethnicity, we might immediately think, whoa, they all look so similar. What I have learned through is that we foreigners are looking for the wrong differences. Chinese people see different eye shapes, different hairstyles, and different shades of skin and hair colors. It isn't that they look the same, it's that you simply aren't looking for the ways in which they differ. Once you start really looking, you begin to start really seeing. Chinese people are Kung Fu masters, right, and all Americans love hamburgers. Kung Fu really is a part of parcel of Chinese culture. No movie or TV show is shot without including Kung Fu fights. The number of adepts here is much larger than in the West, but most of them remain on quite low level, let's say in line with amateur basketball. China is a cheap country. There is a huge cost gap between large cities and the provinces. You can rent a big apartment for $200 in central China, but you'll have trouble finding even a small one for $500 in Shanghai. The only thing really cheaper here than in the West is eating out. The Chinese only eat rice. Guys, Chinese cuisine is one of the most diverse in the world. Even the sheer variety of vegetables is much larger here, let alone the ways of cooking or the assortment of spices. Chinese cuisine is an endless list of options depending on the season and region. Chinese are short. Their shortness was connected with their diet, but in the last 20 years, their well-being improved and they've grown.
So, I'm gonna present some stereotypes and some advices you need to know if you're planning to move to Canada without getting yourself in trouble. Also, if you want to be successful in the Canadian workplace, you should see this video. The first stereotype is that Canada is forever cold. When we say Canada, the first thing that comes to our minds is winter, but it's not really the case. It's true that winter can last up 8 months in the majority of the country. However, summer brings hot and extremely humid weather, with 30 and 40 degrees. Although, Canadians are quite proud of the fact they have a cold country. The second one, everyone is extremely polite and they always apologize. It's definitely true that Canadian people are notorious for their politeness, friendliness and niceness. They can help every stranger on the street. For example, if you're lost and you're looking at a map or you've got any other problem, Canadian people will help you for sure. Moreover, the common phrase you will hear in Canada is "I'm sorry." Canadians apologize all the time. They would simply rather apologize than find themselves in some sort of conflict. So in 2016, Canada gained the title as one of the friendliest countries in the world, in a survey report by Internations. The third stereotype is Canada say hey a lot. You probably won't get through a conversation with Canadian without hearing the words hey at least once. It's just like the Canadian habit or part of the Canadian English language. So they will often say hey or a at the end of the question. For example, you'll often hear, how is it going, hey?
My question to you guys is, why?
The stereotype number 4 is Canadians love hockey. What football is to Brazil, hockey is to Canada. As they say, Canadian people breathe, eat and live hockey. So, of course this is not true, but however, hockey is kind of something that's really part of Canadian culture. They feel that they're not really Canadian if they don't play hockey. The stereotype number 5 is Canadians live in igloos amongst polar bears and moose. This is a fairly popular stereotype, but generally, of course, this is not true. Now, there are some Canadians in the north that actually might still live in igloos, but this is extremely far from where most Canadian lives. So, most Canadian lives in a standard house that you will find anywhere in the world. The stereotype number 6 is Canadians all speak French. Although French is the native language of many people residing in Canada, that isn't the case of everyone. Most native speakers of the French language in Canada live in Quebec, as it's the only province in the country with its official language being solely French. So the rest of Canada has both English and French. The last stereotype is Canadians put maple syrup on everything. Sure, Canada is known for a few tasty eats like poutine and butter tarts, but the most popular food is the maple syrup. Yes, it's true that they love it a lot, but they can't pour in it on everything they eat because it's still quite an unhealthy food. So, maple syrup is a product that is uniquely Canadian, especially it's produced in Quebec. Unfortunately, there isn't enough uses for it. So, like any other culture, there are a do and not to do list that everyone should respect if he don't want to get in trouble. First of all, as I said before, Canadian loves hockey and loves the cold weather. So don't talk negative or criticize this. The second one, don't be rude to Canadians because Canadians are generally nice people. The third one is, if you're coming to Canada, don't try to impose your cultural traditions on everyone there because people come from different cultures, from different parts of the world, so you cannot expect someone to be behaving exactly as you are. The last one is, don't get onto public transport until everyone has exited first.
Swiss males still have to undertake military service, of at least 4 months, and after completing their service, many of them keep their service rifles at home, so not very pacifist at all. The world has an image of Switzerland as a land paved in gold. But while that may be the case for many people in the country, there is still poverty. Yodel is a part of the Swiss tradition, but its practice remains limited to a few mountain regions. Switzerland has been a getaway for many international criminals, but for every story of a criminal or fraudster seeking to escape justice or to hide their cash, there are also many political exiles and those who would be persecuted on account of their religion or race who have found a safe haven in this country.
The first thing to mention is that the Great Britain is ranked 12th in the Business Culture Complexity Index. British managers are seen by their counterparts as more easygoing, laid-back, open, less structured, humorous, risk-taking, informal, less critical, and more accepting, coupled with high patriotic feelings. Is there any validity in the stereotypical views of the British ways of managing? Some studies confirm that British managers seem to be characterized by a more liberal, relaxed attitude coupled with a single-minded, individual-oriented, competitive attitude. Probably in uncertain situations, more individualistic, risk-taking attitudes are required to promote novel problem-solving strategies. Traditionally, British have a reputation for working less hard than German, for example. But, judging by many international statistics, the British work more days and longer hours than most other European countries, certainly Germany. In Great Britain, major decisions are made from the top and will be passed down the chain of management. Before I finish, I have to say that not all of the stereotypes I've said are confirmed. So, if you are going to visit or to live in the Great Britain, you have to take some stereotypes into consideration, but some not.
Chinese can't be upfront and just say, hey, here's what I want, here's what I don't want. Why is that? They explain that they are afraid of being cheated, afraid of people lie to their face. so it's easier for them to protect themselves and not show you their true thinking. Also, in China, every day someone is trying to scam them. Like, you buy a SIM card in a spot, once you're home, it's not working anymore. So when they negotiate with people, they don't want to show their intent. They need to observe you a little bit more, so that they don't want to show their emotions and intent so much. Well, when they say, sure, I'm interested, what they are maybe saying is, I'm not interested. But they won't tell you in case you might have some information for them. Also, they don't say no because they are polite and they have a fear of confrontation. They also feel a lot of pressure if they have to explain themselves. So it's easier for them to say, yeah, maybe, I'll think about it. They make sure not to have a permanent friend or permanent enemy. Sometimes a no means a yes. For example, if they come to your house and they like it, the first thing they would do is criticize it. I don't like this, I don't like the kitchen. You're like, okay, this person is not interested at all. Well, they actually really interested because they want to tell you so many bad things. Later on, they sit down with you, they would say, yeah, I don't like these things, but if you gave me a poor prices, I would buy it. So they're using that as a negotiation thing, right? So Chinese negotiation strategies are very interesting because everything is negotiable and never trust the market price. So when we can say no means a no and yes means a yes, you have to start with facial expression. Maybe when you start talking with someone, when you are engaging, when they are actually listening or they're actually around and not really paying attention. Body language too. And let's see, when you explain the whole situation and when they actually can talk, look at the body language. Are they more leaning back? Doesn't mean they don't like it. Well, it means they want to take back control. Like leaning forward means, now I have more control, we can start negotiation. Third, also how much time they invest with you makes a difference. For example, when they keep saying, let's have another meeting, it means they are interested for sure because they are investing their time. Before I finish, I have to say that not all of the stereotypes I've said are confirmed. So if you're going to visit or to live in China, you have to take some stereotypes into consideration, but some not.
Meetings are done by appointment. You should arrive at least 5 minutes early and be sure to telephone if you think you will be late. Arriving 15 or 20 minutes ahead will impress the Swiss. The Swiss are a very private people. Fidgeting, moving hands and making sweeping gestures are considered rude. Before I finish, I have to say that not all of the stereotypes I've said are confirmed. So if you're going to visit or to live in Switzerland, you have to take some stereotypes into consideration, but some.
Now, I'm gonna ask you a question. How to be successful in the Canadian workplace? Technical skills are very important, but they are not the only important skills needed to succeed in the Canadian workplace for sure. So, if you want to succeed in the Canadian workplace, time is very important. For example, attendance and punctuality are both used to measure an employee's performance. Don't give gifts to different employees. For example, on government officials in Canada, even if your cultural traditions allow that. Also, each workplace has a dress code. For example, in Canada, in industrial sector, it is often very important to be comfortable and wear proper footwear. Also, strong clothing on men and strong perfume or heavy makeup for women is not appropriate in the workplace. Finally, concerning the body language, especially eye contact. In some countries, like Morocco, not using eye contact can be a sign of respect. Usually in Canada, looking someone in the eye makes him feel he can trust you. So to sum up, as you can see, there are often a little bit of truth in any stereotype, and then there are some that aren't true at all. And if you want to live together with Canadian people, you should respect some written rules and other unwritten rules. So don't trust all what you hear.
That brings us to the end of our video.
Thank you so much for watching our video.
Hope you like it!